Hello and a very warm welcome to Money Control. As part of our continuing coverage on the assembly elections, we are here discussing the outcome of the assembly elections today. Everyone's been in for a surprise. There has been a saffron surge in the Hindi heartland, and none of the exit polls saw it coming in terms of the numbers. Just to make sense of these numbers and to understand what does this mean for brand Modi, what does this mean for BJP in the 2024, and most importantly, lessons for the Congress party, because in a democracy, what's a democracy without a good opposition? I'm joined by Mr. Sanjay Jha, Mr. Dilip Cherian, and Mr. Nalin Mehta. Thanks so much for joining in. Let me begin with you, Nalin. You wrote a fantastic piece today on the key takeaways from this election. Can you just take our viewers through some of the key highlights that have emerged from these results?
Thanks very much, Shweta. And great to be on the show with Sanjay and with Dilip. So, four or five quick points. First, I think these elections show that brand Modi remains extremely strong and impregnable, especially in North India. And the Congress is still unable to make serious dents in the Hindi heartland in face-to-face contests with the BJP. I think it also shows that the BJP's party machinery remain strong in the Hindi heartland. I mean, 3 months ago, a lot of Madhya Pradesh was a write-off, Chhattisgarh was a write-off. Today, the vote percentage share difference between BJP and Congress in Madhya Pradesh is 8%. That's after 20 years of incumbency. The last time there was a Congress chief minister in Bhopal, barring the 1 year interim of Kamal Nath, Manmohan Singh had yet to become prime minister. Barack Obama had not become a US senator at that time, and an entire generation of voters has been born and has become voters since then. So I think that's there is something to be said about this victory. I think the BJP learned the lessons from Karnataka. They had a similar issue here. They were old satraps here, Vasundhara Raje Scindia, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, just like with Yediyurappa in Karnataka. I think the BJP learned some lessons from there, and some they tried a few. They tried a few things in this election that worked. I think at another level, the gambit for a caste census and this Mandal 2.0. These elections kind of show that's not really worked at all. If you look at OBC dominated seats in Madhya Pradesh, for example, the majority of them have been won by the BJP, not the Congress. The third thing, the fourth thing I want to say is, if you're looking for commonalities between common points that to take away from these states, you look at tribal seats across Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh. Across tribal seats in these states, the BJP has won the majority of them. That's in 2014 and 19, the BJP won the majority of tribal states in the seats in the Lok Sabha elections. It's not done so in the state elections, but this is now happening. And so I think we are seeing a very clear Muslim consolidation behind the Congress. For example, in Muslim, there were 37, 38 Muslim significant seats in Telangana, which used to be won by BRS. Majority of them have been won by the Congress. We saw this in Karnataka as well, where a lot of the minority vote shifted from JDS to the Congress. That I think is, if you're Akhilesh Yadav or if you're a Mamta Banerjee, where the Muslim vote bank is particular to your dominance in that state. A strong that I think they'll be watching this very carefully. I think there's implications for the India alliance. Finally, I think the Telangana victory of Congress. I think that's a really important one. The Congress has. For 10 years, the party had frittered away after the formation of Telangana. It's come back as the anti-establishment party in Telangana. I think it's a huge victory, but it also showcases a north-south divide in Indian politics. You now have Karnataka, you have Telangana, where the Congress has had a revival, but you're not seeing signs of that in North India. And this will have implications not just for these elections, but also for the debate around delimitation that will follow the elections. And finally, I think women voters.
Yeah.
Madhya Pradesh, for example, at 18.7 7 lakh women voters additionally, we have seen this is a huge victory, and I think women voters and Ladli Behna and schemes like that have something serious to do with that. So I'll just stop there, and I know Sanjay has to go, so I'll just stop.
Right. So, just taking a thread from what Nalin just said, Sanjay, let me bring you in here. What are the lessons for the Congress party? Because it's almost like Rahul Gandhi might have done some self goals here. A lot of negative talk by Rahul Gandhi against Prime Minister Modi has backfired. Just days before assembly elections, he called Prime Minister Modi a panoti. So, Is that working? It's clearly not working for the Congress party. And what are the lessons, according to you, that the Congress should take away from this?
Well, Shweta, first and foremost, I agree with practically all the points that I think Anil has mentioned. I think he is pretty much on the dot there. I would like to add just to that argument that there is a very perceptible Hindutva sentiment across a large part of what we call as the Hindi heartland, and it's time we stopped, pussyfooting around it. It's been a sustained campaign. We started more in an organized fashion, with, I think, the propaganda machines really becoming more amplified and wider. So as a result of that, I think the Hindutva campaign is really, frankly speaking, has not even peaked. I have a feeling that when the Ram Mandir gets formally inaugurated in January, you will find the entire campaign getting a further tailwind. So I think Mr. Modi and the BJP are likely to leverage that going into 2024. And I think it'll be churlish on our part to deny that that's going to be a further ammunition and arsenal for the BJP to consolidate for 2024. The second point is that, end of day, I would agree with him that if you look at Karnataka and Telangana, they have both voted quite decisively in favor of the Congress. Now, it's telling you something significant, that the southern part of India is probably definitely looking at issues influencing them. I'm sure that does not mean, by the way, that there is not a very aggressive BJP presence in Karnataka. We all know they're very formidable there. And in Telangana, they have, even in this election, maintained their footprint, if not increased it. So it tells you that there is a rising, although it's at a very incremental level in the southern part of India, but the north of India is clearly at the moment caught very mesmerized by Mr. Modi. Now, what could have helped? I don't know. A lot of people are telling me that the
No, so
Sanatan government got
The Modi factor is of course very much strong, and brand Modi does seem very invincible. However, I'd like to take on this point that you raised about the Hindutva factor. Dilip, do you think it's only the Hindutva factor that's working for the BJP, and that's what's being reflected in the numbers? Because the Congress party, we saw what CM Baghel did in Chhattisgarh. He had an entire Ramayana festival in Raigad district. So it's almost like both parties were embracing Hindutva. Just the tones and the intensity at which they were embracing it was probably different. Dilip.
Shweta, I tend to agree with that analysis about weaponizing religion. That is something that Mr. Modi has done and the party has done with great success. The question that you're asking is a soft or a move towards Hindutva advantageous to the Congress? And the answer seems to be that between the Hanuman statue that Mr. Kamalnath has been making a big noise about and what Baghel did in Chhattisgarh with the Ramayana, it clearly is not enough. So what Nalin said on this is that you need to give the majority community religiously a kind of sense that you're with them. Is the Congress able to do that? I think that has already been attempted. But there's only room for one king on that turf, and that is already established. So, from a Narendra Modi point of view, he is very clearly the Hindutva Raja, and that works for him and the party, and he's not going to allow that place to be usurped by weak attempts by other minor Congress leaders. And it certainly is not something that Rahul Gandhi is either comfortable doing or competent at doing. So that way, he has total command of that turf for the moment. There isn't any getting away from that.
Okay.
To my mind, the Congress did manage to move towards a socio-economic agenda in both these states, but that is where the Ladli Behna kind of, goodie bag worked. And so one needs to understand that between what Mr. Modi does and what the chief ministers or potential chief ministers do, Congress has a lot of trouble trying to figure out what kind of strategy it needs to adopt.
Right. So, what do you think? Where do you think is the Congress faltering? And this is my question to Nalin, Sanjay, and Dilip, because in the past also we've seen a lot of analysis that has been churned out on the basis of election results. Uh, Rahul Gandhi, as you rightly said, that I think somewhere the Congress is not able to articulate a strategy and ideology. All party representatives tend to speak in different languages. You might have a Baghel embracing soft Hindutva in Chhattisgarh, and then the same party might be, attacking the BJP on embracing Hindutva in another state, and that does not quite work anymore because of social media. Information travels far and wide, so it's almost like Congress does not know what it stands for. Nalin, what's your assessment?
So I think, if I can be slightly flippant, I think there are two things that you can't do in Indian politics anymore and hope to win. One is Hindutva, and the other is welfare politics. I mean, every party is now doing that, right? I mean, it's not just Bhupesh Baghel. You saw that with Kamal Nath. You saw that also with Ashok Gehlot, with all of all of the plans around the Ramayan Trail and all of that. If you look at welfare politics, everybody is. What did the Congress do? It had the model from Karnataka. It replicated that in Telangana, and everywhere it was about the promises. The BJP started the debate around reveries, but the BJP, in a large part of the BJP resurgence in Madhya Pradesh started with the Ladli Behna scheme with Shivraj Singh Chauhan. So in that sense, everybody is outcompeting each other for welfare politics. So what does that? How do you differentiate yourself? And I think the real problem for the Congress now is that wherever it's won, wherever it's been winning because it has robust local leaders at the ground level. In Telangana, it had Revant Reddy. In Karnataka, it had DK Shivkumar and Siddaramaiah, and it got the state unit got it that way. And then Telangana, also after the Karnataka victory, everybody who opposed the BRS went to the Congress, because the Congress then looked like the serious party that could take on it became the party of the anti-establishment. But wherever the party does not have serious local leaders, it's struggling. So the Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi thing is not what they're doing is they're being very aggressive against the BJP, but they don't have boots on the ground. So in North India, that's a problem. Because the Congress does not have boots on the ground, the absence of a party machinery and strong local leaders is a problem for the Congress.
Right. Sanjay, considering the numbers that we see in Telangana, we have 63 for Congress, 8 for BJP, and 40 for BRS. Do you think, I mean, it's somewhere it's a rejection of the KCR model, which was based on welfare, yes, but it was also heavily based on minority appeasement. So the minority appeasement model seems to have backfired, and the minorities have now gone with the Congress party.
I don't quite agree with that. I quite agree with what Nalin mentioned, that, frankly, the manifestos of one and the other are now different. Only if you look at some cosmetic offering by one and something differently being done by the other. I think everyone knows the importance of women voters. I don't think anybody's ignoring the fundamental aspects. Now, here is the trick, Shweta. Nalin, you mentioned about the local leaders. A lot of people in the past have criticized the Gandhis and the Congress leadership of being very centralized in Delhi. But the
Hmm.
truth is that Gehlot is a very powerful regional satrap. Yeah, and Baghel has been a chief minister and a highly successful one at that. And Mr.
Hmm.
Kamal Nath is a veteran, not just at the state level, but and he's been a former chief minister, by the way, and a minister in the center. And these are independent people. And now you cannot actually blame the Gandhis at all. The Gandhis actually made their star presence well to draw in the crowds, which is okay. But the large selection of the candidates and the strategy, the local level, was really left to them. So if you look at it very dispassionately, it will be unfair to blame the centralized command of Mr. Kharge and the Gandhis, but it actually is the regional leaders who failed to pull off a story. It's as simple as that. Modi may be an advantage for the BJP, definitely. Nobody's denying that. How he does it, despite Manipur and issues of unemployment and various
So,
other issues
Sanjay,
like
I'd just
Adani
like to come in
is
here
a
with.
mystery that I need to fathom, frankly.
Right. So, would you have said the same thing if the Congress would have won? Would you have not given the credit to the Gandhis?
Not really. I'll tell you why. Because I believe that Kharge has made a difference to the Congress functioning administration. And people in Rajasthan, I believe, and I can tell you this for a fact, had Sachin come a little earlier, and I have been very vocal on the subject. Had Sachin come in earlier, you would have had a different result in Rajasthan.
Okay, Dilip, I'd like you to come in on this. In terms of lessons for Rahul Gandhi from this episode, because we are barely a few months away now from 2024 elections. What would be your brand advice to Mr. Gandhi?
I would say the biggest and single most important advice would be share your brand. If India is going, if the India alliance is going to have any meaning, it should really have had an alliance, perhaps with the BSP in Rajasthan, with Akhilesh in Madhya Pradesh, and seen how this works. You can't treat this as a dead heat and not have whatever you want in place to try and see whether that works. Also, I think control what people say. I think what you rightly said and observed, that people in the Congress tend to shoot off in various directions in an obvious display of excessive democracy. That does not happen in the BJP. In the BJP, a party line is laid down and everybody
Absolutely.
follows what the party line is. The problem in the Congress is that, especially in North India, they haven't come to terms with the fact that in
Mhm.
direct contest with the BJP, they will need alliance partners, if for no other reason than to have feet on the ground and people in the booths. That is the big problem that they're not yet willing to face.
Yeah, Sanjay, you wanted to say something. Sanjay, can you hear me? Nalin, can I request you to come in on this? You know, uh, what does this mean for the Congress Party going into 2024 and their weightage in the India alliance in terms of the power, the influence that the party had until now? And do you think some of that clout might have diminished?
So, in my view, there was much more at stake for the Congress in these elections than for the BJP before the results came out. Because if it had been say 2-all, or and the Congress could conceivably have won three of these contests, it would have had its tail up. It would have really enthused the cadres. The cadres started believing after Karnataka, right? I mean that, and there is a sense of a resurgence of Rahul Gandhi. The Congress has started winning elections, so there was a sense that it could be a really coherent opposition. It could be the fulcrum of the India alliance. Now that is a real problem for the Congress, because now with these defeats, that the Congress is looking very difficult for the Congress. It's looking a very uphill battle for the Congress. So this is a real problem for the Congress. What's happened in these results, even though they've won a huge victory in Telangana, which is an important state, but not least because it's also rich. It's also an important state with money before the elections. So I think I think the Congress will have to go back to the drawing board a little bit on its core messaging. There's been the whole thing of Adani, the whole thing around the caste census. The Congress will have to look very carefully at how much resonance do these of this kind of political messaging, irrespective of irrespective of any value judgment on that. How much resonance does it have with the electorate at the moment?
So, would it be safe to say, Nalin and Dilip, and if we have Sanjay with us, that the electorate has clearly rejected that narrative of caste census? Aspirational India does not seem to care about return of mandal politics. Dilip.
The young voter is certainly not resonating with that. The young voter is much more aggressive about what she wants. And in the case of Kamal Nath, for example, I think that also happened in Rajasthan, that their level of connect with the chief minister or the chief ministerial aspirant is not good enough. Whereas a younger Revant Reddy had that ability to connect with them, a freshness, and that made all the difference.
Right. Nalin, I wanted to get your thoughts in on this. In terms of now, in the run up to elections, you said the Congress needs to work better on its messaging. How about the BJP? The BJP has made inroads into Telangana. They've had a fairly decent showing, but this north south divide that you spoke about has
Hmm.
only sharpened, and BJP has to make inroads into the south as well.
Right. So, couple of things. I think because this has reinforced brand Modi even more. Um, as you head into 2024, firstly, I think you're going to see I think a lot more BJP MP tickets are under threat now than before. I mean, that's been part of the Modi model even in the past in Gujarat and in 2019 as opposed to 2014, that a significant number of sitting MPs were removed and new tickets, people were given tickets to get around anti-incumbency. I think you're going to
Right.
see a bit more of that this time. That's my sense.
Mhm.
The second thing I think is that when you with the South, I do think the national election is still different from the Vidhan Sabha elections. In the South, for example, in Telangana, if
Mhm.
the BRS has had such a bruising from the Congress. Now that will bring it nearer to the BJP because it's now facing an existential crisis from the Congress. Now
Yeah.
what happens to that BRS vote? So I think there is an opening here for the BJP. Look at the BJP vote share in Telangana. The BJP's story in Telangana has been a story of missed opportunities for the last 2 years, right? I mean, there was a
Right.
lot of promise after the civic elections of Hyderabad in 2020, a couple of by-elections. They won 4 seats last time, and then things just frittered away in the last year. But
Mhm.
today they've won about 9 seats. They've got about 14% of the vote share. In 2019, they'd won about 18%. So I think the BJP will sense an opportunity here, and it'll have the wind behind its sails.
Right. Mr. Cherian, the Congress continues with its whole narrative against the Adani, the Ambani narrative that they're constantly holding. This whole anti-big business, anti-capitalism, if you may. I mean, that's the kind of narrative that the Congress has been peddling so far. Would you recommend that the Congress now tries to work on an alternate narrative because that's not working with aspirational India? And also the fact that Prime Minister Modi has a proven administrative record for 10 years to try and talk about or rake up corruption allegations against him seems to be backfiring.
To my mind, that is more a Rahul Gandhi agenda than a Congress party agenda. It tends to dominate because that's the way the party functions, that's the way media functions. But I agree with you that in a in a in a young economy, uh, unless you have a smoking gun, charges of corruption are virtually useless. The second thing is that when you have a young population, you've got to show them the direction you want to take the country into. And Mr. Modi has pretty much occupied all the possible directions the country can go to on a lighter vein. So, do you have a dramatic new direction? Do you have a new plan? And what can you do about communicating that? The weakness with the Congress party has always been its ability to communicate, its ability to project a leadership other than the Gandhis. And where it does allow that to happen, and that happened both in Karnataka as well as in Telangana, but it did not happen in Madhya Pradesh, though Kamal Nath was leading it very much. Kamal Nath was not really center stage in visibility terms. And to my mind, Kamal Nath had no resonance with young voters. That was a
Mhm.
problem in terms of the choice. Um, I haven't looked at Rajasthan that closely, but I think that the quarrel with Sachin Pilot cost the party very dear. And there's no getting away from the fact that the BJP would also have done well had it not been for the Vasundhara factor, would have done better.
Okay, all right. I think lots of takeaways here for the Congress Party and for the BJP. Nalin, in your view, anything that the BJP can do, which messes this up for them in 2024, in the run up to 2024, what is the one thing that they should not do according to you?
Very difficult to answer that question, but I do think that look, I think hubris and overconfidence are always an issue. But I don't think this BJP has that. I think they, after the Karnataka result, look, they learned from it. Look at the effort the party has put in these elections. Um, I think between now and 20 and the elections, you will see a significant amount of campaigning and aggressive campaigning. And I think the BJP believes that it can maybe win even more seats than last time. And I think this result will give it a shot in the arm.
Wow. Dilip, can I ask you to come in here on what's the one thing, according to you, that the BJP should not do and the Congress should not do either in the run up to 2024?
I'll start with the Congress because it's easier. They're pretty down and out and make all kinds of mistakes. I think the Congress needs to, as I said, find durable or even temporary partners and recognize that it is no longer the only voice in the northern heartland. That's one. And it needs to have the humility to accept that and to play by the new rules of politics. So, similarly, as far as the BJP is concerned, it needs to continue to play the role of being sensitive to citizens. There are many times you feel that the BJP gets ahead of itself, gets arrogant, and let's see how the the card of temple politics plays out. It may also be pretty much close to an expiry date, I feel.
All right. Okay. We'll know, of course, more in 20 in the run up to 2024 and after the elections do take place. But some clear takeaways emerging here. One, the Indian electorate has rejected the Mandal card, the caste card. They have voted overwhelmingly for development, and they have voted against divisive politics. Is one. Second, you can never get too complacent. You can never get too comfortable being in power. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you very much, Nalin and Dilip and Sanjay, who had to leave. But thanks so much for sharing your perspective, and we'll keep tracking what these elections mean for the markets. Also, very quickly before we go away, I was speaking to some market experts, and they were saying that they are expecting a bumper opening tomorrow because of a very definitive verdict that's been given. So I think for investors, what's good news is a definitive verdict, which is what has come in, and that's good news for India. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll keep tracking the election and other updates on Money Control. Thank you.